Hi everybody, this is On Air, my Beatles collection. Today I'm going to talk to you about a CD box set called Beatles American Archive Part 3. I'm showing you the empty box out of which came this stack of CDs. Some really interesting stuff here. Some of them are fairly common, legitimate releases, however, never on CD. So the CD versions are bootleg or unofficial, however you choose to refer to them. First one in this pile is 20 Greatest Hits. Of course, that was a legit release on LP in several countries, but it was not ever released here in the U.S. as a CD. I'll show you the label on that. So it's designed to look like a capital rainbow label. It's a nice job. Really did a nice job on these. And it sounds great. I do believe this is a CDR. It doesn't look like a silver factory press CD, but it sounds great. Plays great. This is another one that was legit album, but not vinyl. Excuse me, not a CD. This is Love Songs, and this is both of the LPs on one CD. So they squeezed it all on there. The cover doesn't have that leatherette feel that the album had. I actually have a bootleg double CD, just like this, only it's double, and it does have the leatherette cover and a nice printing job. So this came in this box set with all the others, so you can't get the same quality with all of them, but the sound quality is good, and that's the label on that. So they did their best to try to have something similar to the original label on that. Here's the next one in the pile that's a legitimate release, but never as a CD, and that's the American Capitol Rarities album. Got the fine print on the back. If you want to try to read that, you can pause and take a look at that for as long as you like. And let's take a look at the label on that. This is going to be a standard Capitol rainbow as well. Again, looks pretty nice. Next one is also a legit Capitol album, but never released on CD. Real Music. It's really nice to have some of these that they never bothered. I don't know, they missed a lot of opportunity by never releasing these to to a legitimate CD. I'm sure there's a large collector's audience for that. And here's that CD again with the Capitol rainbow. Here's another one you might be anticipating. Rock and Roll Music. And again, this is the double album on a single CD. There's the back with the title tracks. And let's see the label on this. This is not going to be your standard Capitol Rainbow. This is going to be your Coca-Cola label. So again, pretty nice attempt to make it look legit and to sound legit. One more set of LPs that became CDs in this set, Past Masters Volume 1. And there's the titles of the tracks, sorry. And this is on the black Capitol label. Trying to cut the glare for you. And then there's Volume 2 on another black cover, and there's your track listing there. The rest of these, and there's still several left, the rest of these are configurations that were never officially released in this format as a LP or a CD. So there's Live at the Hollywood Bowl. You can see the track listing there, and you can see it again there. You can see the reference to earlier Capitol albums. And then this is the the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl Again is the title here. See the word again at the end. And this has an updated track listing. Okay. I didn't show you the label on these. These are both Capitol Rainbow labels, so you've seen several of those already. Here's something I showed recently in a different box set, Sessions. This was expected to be a legitimate release at the time. It was later replaced by Rarities, and they never actually released this. This has a lot of great tracks on it, and the single from this was to be Leave My Kitten Alone. And they actually printed a picture sleeve, and some of us collectors have that picture sleeve. Here's the tracks on that. This is a great CD. So we have Come and Get It, Paul's version that he gave to Badfinger. Leave My Kitten Alone, I mentioned Not Guilty. So the Beatles version of Not Guilty that never made the White Album or any other Beatles album. I'm Looking Through You. This is with the hand clapping in it and no bridge. So before it was completed. And What's the New Mary Jane? Mary Jane had a pain at the party. You know that one, I'm sure. How Do You Do It? Which George Martin wanted the Beatles to record as their first single. They recorded it, but they did not want to release it. And Jerry and the Pacemakers released it and had a big hit with it. But here it is by the Beatles. Then there's Besame Mucho, which is on the Decca Sessions, and they did that quite a bit in the early days. Of course, never put it on a legitimate album. One After 909. This is the original version from '63, or I don't know, maybe '62. I'm not even sure. That they updated for the Let It Be album, but this is the original recording of it here. If You Got Troubles, which made the anthology album. That Means a Lot, which also made the anthology album. While My Guitar Gently Weeps, I'm not sure, but I think this is the acoustic version, which also made the anthology album. Mailman, Bring Me No More Blues. Christmas Time Is Here Again. That's, of course, from one of the annual Christmas messages. And a working version of Obla-Dee, Obla-Da. All of those were destined to be on the original Sessions album. This one also contains 2 bonus tracks, which is another take of One After 909 and a take of Let It Be, which is not the final version. So that's a great little CD to have. A lot of us collectors have the vinyl bootleg, counterfeit, whatever you want to call it. It was never officially released, but it was intended to be, and that's the Capitol label replicated for that purpose. The next 3 are all of the Capitol singles across 3 CDs, and both A-side and B-side. So I'll start with the first one, and I'll show you that by itself. You've seen that picture on other places. And there's the track list. You can see they go all the way from Please Please Me, which wasn't originally on Capitol here in the U.S., and it goes all the way up to Matchbox and Slow Down, that single. So get a nice, basically 12 singles, 24 tracks. And then they did a nice job of trying to replicate the label that Capitol used here for singles, which was the Orange Swirl label. So I thought that was a nice touch that they used the Orange Swirl singles label. So this is volume 2 of that set. And this starts with Penny Lane, and this is the promo version with the trumpet ending. And it goes all the way up to The Long and Winding Road. And I grabbed volume 3. Sorry, this is volume 3, not volume 2. So you can see from Penny Lane all the way to The Long and Winding Road, which was the last single released while the Beatles were still together as a group. This is what I should have shown you as volume 2. That was volume 3. So this is volume 2. And this runs from I Feel Fine to Eleanor Rigby. So it's I Feel Fine backed with She's a Woman, Eleanor Rigby backed with Yellow Submarine. Some people would say Yellow Submarine backed with Eleanor Rigby, whatever you prefer. So that's volume 2. So there's 3 of those total. This has the same capital swirl label as the others. We got 3 more. This is the collector's items. And for some reason, the CD is not in here, so I've put it somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I'll certainly find it. That's a pretty famous bootleg. And here's another one, Casualties, with the butcher cover, a variant of the butcher cover. And then here's all the tracks on there. Now, both collector's items and Casualties were put out with a capital reference on there, and they were made to look like they were going to be legit albums. And they were, of course, never released officially. But, there's some debate about whether Capitol had any involvement in putting those together at all. Some say yes, some say no. Some say they were all, just different attempts to try to put a product together that they could market, but they never actually did. And then, last but not least, here's the American version of the Beatles Christmas album. There's both sides of that. Of course, this is a compilation of all the Christmas messages that got sent out by the fan club every year. A lot of people have those flexi discs that came out. There also was a box set that came out here a few years ago with the picture discs. So that was nice. And this is on an Apple label, as arguably it should be. Whenever I show this, I like to tell the story. Back in around the time that this came out, I was working for a newspaper in New York. I was a kid out of high school, and I was doing basically subscription sales. And one summer, we were told that we could go out and get subscriptions, and we could give prizes to people that ordered a subscription to the newspaper. And we had a cage there with all kinds of goodies locked up in it. Basketballs and footballs and all different kinds of stuff were in this cage. And we were allowed to requisition them out and then use them for subscriptions. So, we'd walk around with something in our hand, like in an apartment building or something, and we'd, knock on the door, hey, if you get a subscription to the paper, I'll give you this gift right now. Well, one of those possible gifts was the Beatles Christmas album, which, thinking about it now, it blows my mind. I had access to maybe 100 of them. I mean, there were boxes of them in that cage, and we could take them or anything else out, with us and give them away as subscriptions. And the funny thing was, it was a lot of older people my age now, back then, would get these Christmas albums thinking they got a Christmas album with Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas and Frosty the Snowman. And actually, it was the Beatles Christmas messages, which, were probably incoherent to a person my age back then. So a lot of people sent them back in. They're like, "What is this crap? This is not a Christmas album. Certainly not by the definition that they had in their minds." So we actually got a lot of them back. I wound up taking 3 of them home. None of which have surfaced in my collection. I believe they were all individually lent out and or stolen from my collection when my back was turned, because I know for a fact I gave one away, and they were all sealed too, by the way. So they were legit and they were sealed, and I don't know how the heck we got them, but we got them and we couldn't get rid of them. And I don't even know what the fate of the rest of them were that were in that cage, still in boxes. And I wound up leaving that job as soon as the summer was over. I went off to school, and I had a more mainstream job after that. I wasn't trying to sell newspaper subscriptions for too long. So I don't know what happened to the rest of those records. I wish I did, because they'd be worth a fortune now. I wish I knew what happened to the 3 that I had, because they would be worth a fortune now too. I do have one copy that I got through other means, but it's not one of the ones I took from the newspaper. And I have several bootleg vinyls that are color vinyl. And of course, they're not legit if they're color vinyl, but they sound okay. Some of them have extra tracks. They have A Wonderful Christmas Time. They have Happy Christmas, John's Happy Christmas. They have George's Ding Dong, Ding Dong, ring out the old, ring in the new. So they have extra, Christmassy seasonal tracks on them. But I only have one legitimate one, and it doesn't tie back to my newspaper career. But I wish it did, and I wish I had some of the others that were in that cage. But anyway, I saved that for last because that's my Beatles Christmas album story. This one is pretty well done. They always say you got to look at Ringo's face to see if it's a bootleg. Of course, if it's a CD, it's automatically a bootleg. But anyway, it's nice to have in that box set. So again, this is the box, and it's the Beatles American Archive Part 3. I'm gonna do another video on the Part 1 box pretty soon. I didn't buy the Part 2 box, and I'll explain that in the Part 1 video, why I never got the Part 2 box. But anyway, I'll look forward to seeing you soon, where we'll be talking about the Part 1 box. And please like this video if you're watching it on YouTube, and comment if you'd like. Anything else that's in my collection that you might have heard about or seen previously in one of my backgrounds where you can see my whole room. Put that in the comments. Say, hey, how about showing me the whatever? And please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. We've had a lot of additions this week. I've only been doing this for about a month and a half now. So the site is growing, and I'm happy to have you all here, and I hope to see you again soon. So take care. Bye.